Today's reading. Today we're going to continue on the NASB. Yesterday we finished First Samuel. Summary of Samuel, or First Samuel, excuse me, is there's a there's Eli the priest, there's Samuel the prophet, who's called by the Lord, and he anoints the first king of Israel, Saul. Then, he Saul um, commits a few sins, grave, and that causes the Lord to turn over the kingdom from Saul to David. David. Eventually, this drives Saul mad, and um, eventually, Saul would end up searching for David. But no matter what, no one killed each other, for David was afraid of killing Saul, and Saul was taken by the mercy of David. Yet Saul still remained jealous over David. And so here we are. Samuel dies, and then eventually Saul would die to um, the Philistines. Well, Saul's sons die to the Philistines, and Saul ends up taking himself out. So, Second Samuel. Yeah, again, Lord, help these people understand what you're trying to say in Second Saul. In Jesus' name, Amen. Okay, First Saul. David learns of Saul's death. Or First Samuel. David learns of Saul's death. Now it came about after the death of Saul, when David had returned from the slaughter of the Amalekites, that David stayed 2 days in Ziklag. And on the third day, behold, a man came from Saul's camp with his clothes torn and dust on his head. And it happened when he came to David, he fell to the ground and prostrated himself. Then David said to him, "From where do you come?" And he said to him, "I escaped from the camp of Israel." David said to him, "How do things go? Please tell me." And he said, "The people have fled from the battle, and many of the people also have fallen and are dead, and Saul and his son Jonathan are also dead." Then David said to the young man who told him, "How do you know that Saul and his son Jonathan are dead?" The young man who told him said, "By chance, I happened to be on Mount Gilboa, and behold, Saul was leaning on his spear, and behold, the chariots and the horsemen had overtaken him. When he looked behind himself, he saw me, and he called to me, and I said, 'Here I am.' And then he said to me, 'Who are you?' And I answered him, 'I am an Amalekite.' And he said to me, 'Please stand next to me and finish me off, for agony has seized me because my life still lingers in me.' So I stood next to him and finished him off because I knew that he could not live after he had fallen. And I took the crown which was on his head and the band which was on his arm, and I have brought them here to my Lord." Then David took hold of his clothes and tore them, and so also did all the men who were with him. And they mourned and wept and fasted until evening for Saul and his son Jonathan, and for the people of the Lord, and the house of Israel, because they have fallen by the sword. Then David said to young men who informed him, "Where are you from?" And he answered, "I am the son of a stranger, an Amalekite." And David said to him, "How is it you were not afraid to reach out with your hand to destroy the Lord's anointed?" Then David called one of the young men and said, "Come forward, put them to death." So he struck them, and he died. And David said to him, "Your blood is on your own head, because your mouth has testified against you, saying, 'I have finished off the Lord's anointed.'" Goodness gracious. David's respect for Saul, despite Saul committing these evil acts of sin, is insane. So, chapter 1 basically, David comes back from battle, I believe, or from Ziklag, and once he comes back, one of the people say, um, or David asks them what happened, and the man tells him people have fled, and Saul and Jonathan and his sons, Saul's sons, they died. And David and all the people mourned for Saul and Jonathan. And once he realizes that he is an Amalekite, the young man, David has him put to death. Okay, David's song of mourning for Saul and Jonathan. Then David sang this song of mourning over Saul and his son Jonathan, and he told them to teach the sons of Judah in the morning song of the bow. Behold, it is written in the book of Jashar. Your beauty Israel is slaughtered on your high places. How the mighty have fallen. Tell it not in Gath, proclaim it not in the streets of Ashkelon, or the daughters of the Philistines will rejoice. The daughters of the uncircumcised will celebrate. Mountains of Gilboa, may there be no dew nor rain on you, or fields or of offerings. For there the shield of the mighty was defiled, the shield of Saul, not anointed with oil, from the blood of those slaughtered, from the fat of the mighty. The bow of Jonathan did not turn back, and the sword of Saul did not return unstained. Saul and Jonathan, beloved and delightful in life, and in their deaths they were not separated. They were swifter than eagles, they were mightier than lions, daughters of Israel. Weep over Saul, who clothed you in scarlet with jewelry, and who put gold jewelry on your apparel. How the mighty have fallen in the midst of the battle. Jonathan is slaughtered on your high places. I am distressed for you, my brother Jonathan. You have been a close friend to me. Your love for me was more wonderful than the love of women. How the mighty have fallen, and the weapons of war have perished. Okay, yeah. Despite all that Saul did, David still has respect for him, despite being Saul being the one who wanted to kill David. It's worth mentioning also that in verse, what is it? Verse 6? It's, I can't remember the exact verse of First Samuel, but I think Samuel prophesied earlier then uh, how his kingdom was going to be taken from him and handed over to David. So, yeah, chapter 1, David comes back from Ziklag and learns of Saul's death and Jonathan's death and mourns and weeps along with other people. And David writes this song for mourning, which is right here. Chapter 2, David made king over Judah. Then it came about afterward that David inquired of the Lord, saying, Shall I go up to one of the cities of Judah? And the Lord said to him, Go up. So David said, Where shall I go up? And he said, To Hebron. So David went up there, and his two wives also, Ahinoam the Jezreelitess, and Abigail the widow of Nabal the Carmelite. And David brought up his men who were with him, each with his household, and they settled in the cities of Hebron. Then the men of Judah came, and they anointed David king over the house of Judah. Antonio, God bless you. Welcome in. How's it going? And they told David, saying, It was the men of Jabesh Gilead who buried Saul. So David sent messengers to the men of Jabesh Gilead and said to them, May you be blessed of the Lord, because you have shown this kindness to Saul your Lord, and have buried him. And now may the Lord show kindness and truth to you. And I will also show this goodness to you, because you've done this thing. Now then, let your hands be strong and be valiant, since Saul your Lord is dead, and also the house of Judah has anointed me king over them. Sí, estoy leyendo, pero yeah, okay. Yeah. Ishbosheth uh, made king over Israel. Hello, Metro. How's it going? God bless you. Welcome in. Peace be upon you and your spirit, Lord. Sorry, and your spirit, Metro. All right. Anyways, but Abner, the son of Ner, commander of Saul's army, had taken Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim. And he made him king over Gilead, over the Asherites, over Jezreel, over Ephraim, and over Benjamin, even over all Israel. Ishbosheth, Saul's son, was 40 years old when he became king over Israel, and he was king over 2 years. The house of Judah, however, followed David, and the time that David was king in Hebron over the house of Judah was 7 years and 6 months. Um, and to answer your question, Metro, um, I want to see if I can first. I know it's a little late, but I want to do like a reveal sort of thing. First, I have to see if we're gonna be able to get a haircut, because my mom, uh, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to go to a barber now, because my mom is gonna go busy. Yeah, I'm not I'm not bald yet. At least not yet. I don't know if I'll be bald, because my mom, she's been quite busy, and she's not been able to tend to many of these amenities available. So I'm gonna wait, and if we don't, then you know why I don't have a clipper with me. That's the thing. I don't know if my grandparents have one too. So yeah. Now Civil War. Now Abner, the son of Ner, went from Anaheim to Gibeon with the servants of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul. And Joab, the son of Zeruiah, and the servants of David went out and met him by the pool of Gibeon, and they sat down. Abner's men on the one side of the pool, and Joab's men on the other side of the pool. Now Abner said to Joab, Now have the young men arise and hold a martial skills match in our presence. And Joab said, Have them arise. So they got up and went over by counts 12 for Benjamin and Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and 12 from the servants of David. And each one of them seized his opponent by the head and thrust his sword in his opponent's side. So they fell down together. Therefore that place was called Helkath Hazarim, which was in Gibeon. That day the battle was very severe, and Abner, the men of Israel, were defeated by the servants of David. Now the three sons of Zeruiah, I still can't pronounce that name, were there: Joab, Abishai, and Asahel. And Asahel was as swift footed as one of the gazelles that is in the field. Asahel pursued Abner and did not turn to the right or to the left from following Abner. Then Abner looked behind himself and said, "Is that you, Asahel?" And he said, "It is I." So Abner said to him, "Turn aside for your own good to your right or to your left, and take hold one of the young men for yourself, and take for yourself his equipment." But Asahel was unwilling to turn aside from following him. Then Abner repeated again to Asahel, "Turn aside for your own good from following me. Why should I strike you to the ground? How then can I show my face to your brother Joab?" However, he refused to turn aside, so Abner struck him in the belly with the butt end of the spear, so that the spear came out of his at his back, and he fell there and died on the spot. And it came that all who came thereafter to the place where Asahel had fallen and died stood still. But Joab and Abishai pursued Abner, and when the sun was going down, they came to the hill of Ammah, which is opposite Gath, by the way of the wilderness of Gibeon. And the sons of Benjamin gathered together behind Abner and became one troop, and they stood on the top of the hill. Then Abner went to Joab and said, "Should you, should the sword devour forever? Do you not realize that it will be better in the end? So how long will you refrain from telling the people to turn back from pursuing their kinsmen?" Joab said, "As God lives, if you had not spoken, then the people of Judah certainly would have withdrawn in the morning, each from pursuing his brother." So Joab blew the trumpet, and all the people halted and no longer pursued Israel, nor did they continue to fight any more. Abner and his men then went through the Arabah all that night, so they crossed the Jordan, walked all morning, and came to Menahem. Then Joab returned from pursuing Abner, but he gathered all the people together, and 19 of David's servants were missing, besides Asahel. However, the servants of David had struck and killed many of Benjamin and Abner's men. 360 men were dead, and they carried Asahel away and buried him in his father's tomb, which was in Bethlehem. And Joab and his men traveled all night until the day dawned at Hebron. Okay, so chapter 2. Oh, by the way, oh, never mind. I thought I didn't mention it. It was chapter 1, but I did mention it. But yeah. So David is now made king over the house of Judah, and they buried Saul. And now Abner, the commander of Saul's army, made Ishbosheth the king of Israel. And Judah, however, followed with David. So, because of this, civil war was prompted by Abner. Now they had men on one side of the pool and men on the other side. It kind of represents, in a way, how there's people on the right and people on the left in the judgment. It's basically like a battle in a way, like take each one a dance partner for himself. Now here comes Asahel. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name, but that guy goes after Abner, or sorry, yeah, he goes after Abner, and then Abner struck him, killing him from there. And because of that, Joab and Abishai pursue Abner. So Abner still lives. But yeah, chapter 2, David becomes king of Judah. Abner proclaims Ishbosheth as king over Israel instead of David. So, civil war among the Israelites. And I think I'm going to proclaim this is the end of part 2, or part 1, excuse me. I'm probably going to make it part 2 shortly, but I'll be right back, folks.